Some of the most important things are how many people don't understand the full effects of climate change, how it affects other people.
The people are not taking the step to do that is required of them.
Making sure that people realise the seriousness of the threat and that everybody takes individual action and responsibility.
Enough people don't know enough to try and do something about it. I think it's not so visual, so like especially younger people, they don't see it happening so much, so they like take a back seat.
You know, it's with us, but we didn't realize it that it's coming here with us. So we have to work together to change this climate change, to combat it, to mitigate it.
And we are hoping if we take action now on climate change and mitigate all those issues, we believe we can save mankind.
I think it's sort of people realising it, and then once they realise it, they're then able to do something about it.
I think it's education. People need to be aware that about what's happening.
We should not just rely on the big companies and manufacturers and the important people. Everyone should have their little input.
Is that you don't have to look at it as a great big problem that we can't do very much about, because if everybody does their bit and everybody across the world does that, then we can make a big difference.
The most important thing is the engagement of people in the developed countries of the world.
Whether our government is brave enough and the governments around the world are brave enough to actually take it on board and do something about it.
It's not thought about enough at all. I have so many conversations to people about it, and they seem to have such small amount of knowledge about it.
To persuade people of my generation to take it seriously.
The young people, and I'll speak on behalf of Kenya, are not majorly involved, and that is what we are trying to do. It is spoken in big conferences, very educated people, but the young people in Kenya, which form the majority, are not much involved.
We know that it's our generation that's going to be the ones that have to fix this. The last generation won't be there to see it.
Young people definitely are part of the solution, and we all know our generation is part of the problem.
Knowing that we are the ones who can make a difference, and knowing that we should do something about it.
Because of climate change, the icebergs are melting and everything's getting hotter, and in like 30 years children will be asking, what are polar bears and what do they look like?
Some of the animals are becoming extinct because the weather, right now they cannot be able to survive in these weathers.
I think the most important issues are actually the change in the climate. I know that sounds really, really obvious.
The effect it's going to have on the weather. Yeah, it's a worldwide problem, and I think it really, really needs to be solved.
And there's a great misunderstanding that this is a global problem that only governments and politicians can act upon.
It's apathy, I feel. People are just not bothered or not educated enough about it.
So if we're losing our glaciers because of climate change, that presents massive threats to farmers and communities and to natural habitats because of the rapid decline in water availability.
People in the West, I think we probably live at a higher level than is sustainable.
So change really has to be progressive rather than radical and overnight.
I personally think that the most important thing to me would be recycling.
And actually telling them how long these things are going to take to biodegrade.
Just little things like people not turning the tap off or leaving the light on or something like that. And I think if we all just worked on that, little things, it can make a big difference.
Carbon dioxide emissions. I think we need to try and decrease the amount of carbon dioxide that we release into the atmosphere.
People driving in a car on their own because there's no need for it.
Cars, the fumes from cars, making climate change, making the atmosphere really bad.
Light pollution, where there are too many lights so we can't see the stars.
Rubbish, exhaust fumes and different other problems that we are causing.
Everything you do can help, even if it's something really little.
Cut down on the amount of red meat that we eat.
The issues are massive, but the solution is working together.
Raising awareness. I don't feel that people are aware of the situations and how they can change it. I feel they need evidence to support that in order to make actions.
There needs to be more education into the real science behind all of this. So people actually do, get really moved to actually do something about it.
I think it's getting people to think in a different way.
all too often the decision makers are still living in a generation when electricity, power generally, energy was very, very cheap, and therefore they don't think of the climate change implications.
It's closing the gap between the political will and what the science demands.
So we've got to work out how you and I and millions of other people go for it. We've just got to do it, and that is marketing expertise. We've got to create global climate buzz.
This is a devastating issue and should not be taken lightly, and we need to do something about it, especially the youth. So we should all take charge and enlighten people all over, because many people are quite ignorant about the subject.
And it's really important that we get the right deal out of Copenhagen.
I think the government should be pushing for an agenda which involves advertising on TV or on billboards or in newspapers to raise awareness. And I think that if we start by addressing the needs of young people and informing them about climate change, then when they grow up, they can address those problems. And as they grow up, they can live sustainable lifestyles.